simile of the snake. It is the simile of the snake in the sense it is the way how you should catch the snake. Not the snake itself, the way of catching or taking the snake to your hand. India is a country where there are snake tamers. They tame snakes. They don't eat, but they tame the snake. They tame the snake for various purposes. Even in Sri Lanka, I have seen there are people who tame the snakes, remove their poisonous teeth and the fangs, and make them dance in the public. So these snake tamers are there. So with this simile of taming the snake, or the way that you should catch the snake, is the major simile in this long version of a sutta. This sutta is a very long one. Yeah? So I took only those points which can be useful for you, which can be helpful for a better understanding of the Dhamma. While Buddha was living in Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, he got to know that a monk called Ariṭṭha, formerly of the vulture killers. Now, there was a profession during the Buddha's time in the ancient India. That profession is killing vultures for medicinal purposes. They must have taken vultures something. So this profession was there. This person, this monk, he belonged to this clan of vulture killers, Ariṭṭha. It is in the sutta, he is explained as Ariṭṭha, formerly of the vulture killers. Now this monk had a pernicious view, had a wrong view, and not only he had this wrong view, he started declaring this wrong view about the Buddha's teaching in the middle of crowds. Now this is tarnishing the Buddha's name. Now this is bringing bad name to the Buddha. What he declared was, as I understand the Dhamma taught by the Blessed One, he says, those things called obstructions by the Blessed One are not able to obstruct one who engages in them. If we put it another way, what he said was, there are things that the Buddha had instructed to avoid because those things are obstructions to the nirvana, enemies of nibbāna. They will hinder your progress to the nibbāna. Now this monk says, when you engage in them, they are not obstructing you. Though Buddha says they are obstructions, when you actually engage in them, they are not obstructing you to nibbāna. Right? So Buddha must have understood in the wrong way. Right? He says, for example, sensual pleasures are an obstruction for the nibbāna. But when you are engaged in the sensual pleasures, this monk says, they are not obstructing you. Don't worry about it. Now this Ariṭṭha, former vulture killer, is spreading this idea. This is a pernicious view, a wrong view. A group of monks got to know about this, and they went to him and she said, "What are you doing? What are you talking about?" The Bhagavan, the Blessed One, has explained these things very clearly. They say, in multiple methods, Buddha had explained the obstacles as well as the natures of the obstacles. They say, Blessed One has stated how obstructive things are obstructions and how they are able to obstruct one who engages in them. The Blessed One has stated that sensual pleasures. Now here, only one obstacle is explained, not the rest. Yeah? Blessed One has stated that sensual pleasures provide little gratification, much suffering and despair. Now see, the sensual pleasures provide gratification, provide happiness, joy, but little. Right? But they provide much despair, much suffering. And that the danger in them is still more. With the simile, the Blessed One has given similes for the sensual pleasures. Remember, or if you want to write down, the similes. He had compared this simile to a fleshless skeleton, fleshless bones. You give a bone of a cow or a pig to a dog. The dog will bite this bone until its teeth become tired or bleeding. This dog will be biting and biting this bone, looking for some taste, but he will never get a taste. This is just a fleshless bone. Yeah? And with the simile of a piece of meat, now it is explained, if a crow grab a piece of meat and fly away, what happened? Other crows will start chasing this particular crow who is running away with a piece of meat and will attack this crow. And if he did not give up, if that crow did not give up that piece of meat, other crows will even kill that crow with like a piece of meat. With the simile of grass torch, with the simile of pit of coals, with the simile of a dream, with the simile of borrowed goods, with the simile of fruits on a tree, with the simile of the butcher's knife and block, with the simile of sword stake, with the simile of snake's head. These are the similes Buddha had given for the sensual pleasures. Each simile has a story behind, as I mentioned too, about a fleshless bone in a mouth of a dog or a piece of meat in the mouth of a crow. Piece of meat, delicious, but giving suffering. Yeah. So Buddha had explained the obstacle for everybody's understanding. These are not educated people, you see. This is a hunter, vulture killer. But even for such a person, this Dhamma is something understandable because he has given practical similes. The similes in the day-to-day life, the similes that they saw in general, Buddha had given to explain sensual pleasures is an obstacle for the nibbāna. Not only that, sensual pleasures provide little gratification, much suffering. Yeah. But these monks could not convince this Ariṭṭha about his wrong view. He is still declaring, though Buddha says these are obstacles, these are not obstacles. Don't get misguided by the Buddha. Yeah? These are not obstacles. So they brought the matter to the Buddha. Buddha summoned this man, this monk, and Buddha asked, when did you hear such a thing coming out of my mouth that these are not obstacles? I have declared very clearly, you are a follower of mine. I have declared very clearly, these are obstacles that you have to avoid, that you have to disengage in them. When did I, or to whom did I declare that these are not obstacles? Then the Ariṭṭha kept silent. Then the Buddha said, you are a misguided man. This is how Buddha scold people, You are a misguided man. Your misguiding will be injured yourself. Your misguidings would cause to injure yourself. You cannot injure others. You are not misrepresenting me. You misrepresent yourself. You injure yourself by misrepresenting me and my teaching. Yeah. So this wrong grasp, wrong understanding will be a disaster, will be a injure to you. You cannot tarnish my name. You cannot disturb me. You are tarnishing your own name. You are injuring yourself. Then Buddha asked that because that one can engage in sensual pleasures without sensual desires, without perceptions of sensual desire, without thoughts of sensual desire. Now these sentences, please listen again. That one can engage in sensual pleasures without sensual desires. He engages in the sensual pleasures. He pleases the senses without the sensual desires. Without perceptions of sensual desire, without thoughts of sensual desire. Is it possible or impossible? Is it possible to engage or experience the sensual pleasures without sensual desires? Is it possible? It is not possible. Buddha says that is impossible. That is impossible. So the idea of Ariṭṭha is what? The Ariṭṭha's idea is that though Buddha says the obstacles like sensual pleasures are not really obstacles, we can enjoy the sensual pleasures without making it an obstacle. Do you understand? Ariṭṭha says we can enjoy the sensual pleasures without making an obstacle. Right? Buddha says, without sensual desire, you cannot enjoy the sensual pleasures. There is a desire behind. So that desire is your obstacle to the nibbāna. Okay? Now, then Buddha continues to talk. He is talking about this simile. Yeah? He says, because some misguided men, now he is talking about these people like Ariṭṭha, right? Misguided men learn the Dhamma, learn the suttas, discourses, learn the Gaya stanzas. Gaya is stanzas in the sense things to chant, things to sing, things to sing, Gaya. That things, not things to sing, things that can be sung, things that can be sung. Now, just before, when Venerable Dhammananda, you chanted those suttas, right? Those are the things to sung, right? You can sing them. Actually, it is not just for singing, it is to understand it. But they can be sung. This is the second one. Then the expositions. Vayyakarana. Actually, Vayyakarana, literally it means grammar. Expositions, Vayyakarana means explanations. Explanations with using the grammar, using the grammatical methods. Explanations. Yeah, Vayyakarana. Then comes the verses, Gatha. Dhammapada is all about verses. Yeah? A collection of all the verses from the main teachings and put in a separate book. Yeah? They are gathas, verses. Then comes the udana, exclamations. What are these exclamations? These are not teachings, Dhamma teachings, but they are efforts to explain the feelings, the joy, the happiness after the enlightenment. The Buddha as well as the monks and nuns. After the enlightenment, they try to put into words their experience. Right? They are called udana, or the exclamations. Then comes the sayings, iti uttaka. Iti uttaka saying, iti means thus sayings. Right? That also part of the explanations. Part of the, sayings we can say also, it is a kind of separate but special verbal explanations. Right? Now, for example, when somebody gives a long speech, we quote special sentences, right? Which is coined in a special manner. Those sentences we can quote out, we can take out, we can highlight those things, sayings. And birth stories, Jataka stories, right? And marvels, Abhuta Dhamma, marvels. Things happened in the Buddha's life before the enlightenment as well as after the enlightenment, right? These are called marvels. And also Vedalla, answers to the question. These are called Navanga Sattu Sasana. Navanga Sattu Sasana, that is Pali word. Nava Anga, 9 parts, 9 components of Buddha's teaching. All the Buddha's teaching belong to these 9 components. Right? Navanga Sattu Sasana. This Navanga Sattu Sasana is coming in this Alagaddūpama Sutta, the simile of the snake. Right? Navanga Sattu Sasana. Whole Buddha's teaching can be separated into these 9 parts. Sutta, Geya, Vyakarana, Udana, Iti, Uttaka, Jataka, Abhuta, Dhamma, Vedalla. Yeah? These 9 components. Yeah? Yes, are there no 9? There are 9. Okay, so Buddha says, somebody can learn all these 9 teachings of or the 9 components of the Buddha's teaching, but having learned, they do not examine the meaning of these teachings with wisdom. After you have learned, you have to, whatever, whoever sit down on this chair and talk, they might talk anything, but you have to examine them with your own wisdom. With your wisdom. Don't take them as the speaker says. You have to examine whether it is true or not. Yeah. Anybody can say anything, but it is up to you. Buddha himself says, some people they learn, they listen, but they do not examine the meaning of those teachings with wisdom. Right? With wisdom. Not examining the meaning of those teachings with wisdom, they do not gain the reflective acceptance of them. Instead, they learn the Dhamma only for the sake of criticizing others and for winning in debates. It is there, right? They do not learn the Dhamma to, examine the meaning of those teachings with the wisdom. That is called yoniso manasikara. Have you heard this term? Whenever you learn something, you have to examine them with your wisdom. Yeah? Check about it, investigate on it. True or not? Yeah? But they learn the Dhamma for what? To criticize, for the sake of criticizing others. The way you are nodding the head, I can see that you have your own experience. Yeah? Criticizing others and for winning in debates. Winning in debates. Right? And they do not experience the good for the sake of which they learned the Dhamma. They do not experience the benefit of the Dhamma. Those teachings being wrongly grasped by them. This is the wrong understanding, wrong grasp of the Dhamma. That they learn the Dhamma for criticizing others and to win in the debates. It is not for the reflective understanding, acceptance. Why they cannot have this acceptance and transform themselves, change themselves? Because they do not observe them with the wisdom. They do not examine them with the wisdom. So Buddha's advice is what? When you listen and learn something, examine with your wisdom. Yeah? Examine with the wisdom, then it will help you to have a reflective understanding. Right? And with that understanding, you will change yourself and you will get the benefit of that Dhamma. And Buddha says some people, they learn Dhamma to criticize others and to become winners in the debates. Buddha says, suppose a man in need of a snake, looking for a snake, saw a large snake and grasped its coils or its tail. He wanted a snake and he saw a very large one. And he captured that snake by the tail. it would turn back on him and bite his hand or his arm or one of his limbs. Of course, the snake will turn and bite him. Because of that, he would come to death or deadly suffering. Why is that? Because of his wrong grasp of the snake. Now, you see, the Buddha compares the wrong grasp on the Dhamma to a wrong grasp of a snake. If a snake bites you, you will suffer in this life, only in this life. But if you grasp the Dhamma in the wrong way, you will not only suffer this life, you will suffer in the future also. You will miss a golden opportunity to get rid of the samsara, and rather you create a wrong view, and you, like a snake bite to you, you destroy yourself. Yeah. Here the bhikkhu, some clansmen learn the Dhamma, these 9 parts of the Dhamma. They examine the meaning of those teachings with wisdom. That is the advice of the Buddha. Examine the meaning of those teachings with the wisdom. Examining the meaning of those teachings with the wisdom, they gain the reflective acceptance. What is the meaning of reflective acceptance? Reflective acceptance is that the understanding, through the understanding you accept, through the understanding of your thinking level, maybe not meditative level. It is not a meditative wisdom. It is through the thinking wisdom. Through the thinking wisdom, that Dhamma you will find reflect in the mirror of your life. In the mirror of your life, all the experiences are what is happening? Reflecting. Yeah. With your experiences, you have a certain wisdom in your life. On that wisdom, this Dhamma will reflect. Now this is a reflecting acceptance. Because they reflect, and you, through that reflection, you accept it. Because you found this is the truth. This is a truth. So if it is a truth, why bother about it? Just accept it. First, listen to the Dhamma, and after listening, you have to examine the meaning of those teachings with the wisdom. Examine it. Separate, divide, disintegrate, and understand. Separate and understand. Analyze and understand. Analytical understanding. After that, when you do that, what happens? The Dhamma will reflect upon your own experiences, upon your own wisdom through that experiences. Such a person is like a person who caught a snake rightly with a cleft stick, and having done so, grasped it rightly by the neck. Such a person, like using a cleft stick, I don't know what is that, like a stick with fork, a twig, right? With that stick, you keep the snake down to the ground without letting him move, and then you grasp the snake by the neck. It may coil in your arm, on your body, but it cannot destroy you, disturb you. Yeah? It is the right grasp of the Dhamma. Then Buddha says, monks, bhikkhus, this Dhamma is not grasping. Though you grasp it rightly or wrongly, this Dhamma is not for the grasping. Yeah? He gives a simile of a raft. If a man comes to a ocean bank or a river bank, he finds this side of the river bank or this side of the ocean bank is dangerous, not so safe, not so pleasant. but the next side of the river, or the other side bank is so safe, looking very nice, so it is better to go to that bank, better to go to the other side. But he find no boat, no boatman, no ferry. What he does is, he prepares some branches, he collects some branches and bind them together and make a raft out of them, and he started he started sailing this raft by using his hands and legs. Somehow, with so much of difficulty, he reached to the other bank. After reaching to the other bank, he thinks, oh, this raft really helped me to come onto this bank, which is so good. I must be grateful. I must be respectful for this raft. To show his respect, to show his gratitude, what does he do? He takes the raft onto his head or to his shoulders and he walk around. He walk around keeping the raft on his head. Buddha asks, is this the way to treat that raft? No, it is not the way to treat the raft. You just either let it flow in the river, or you just drag onto the shore and you just go away wherever you wish to go. Right? With that, Buddha says, because when you know the Dhamma to be similar to a raft, you should abandon even the teachings, even this pleasant, right Dhamma, true Dhamma, even the teachings of the Buddha, you should abandon. How much more so things contrary, opposite to the teachings. Even you have to abandon the right teachings. Nothing to talk about the wrong teachings, right? You have to abandon them. This is just a raft to you. This is just an assistance to you. This is supportive to you to go to the shore of nibbāna, to attain to the nibbāna. This is not something to grasp, saying, oh yeah, this is my Dhamma. This is the Dhamma I know. This much of Dhamma I have. This is not something to grasp. This is an assistance for you to transform yourself, change yourself, elevate yourself to the level of enlightenment, or to use as a raft in this sansaric journey of this vast oceanic sansaric journey. You sail peacefully, easily, comfortably with the use of Dhamma, with the use of raft, which is called the Dhamma. After you reach to the nibbāna, of course, you have to let go even that Dhamma. Don't grasp it. Don't carry it on your shoulders or head. So this is the raft helped me to come to the nibbāna. Yeah. So though Dhamma is not to grasp, but to transform ourselves with the use of wisdom, analytical wisdom, we understand it, and with that analytical wisdom, what understood must be reflect in our lives. That means what? Our lives must be changed, transformed. Yeah. With that transformation, we will be able to transform to the final goal, which is called nibbāna. Now, the simile of raft is the Buddha's simile. The raft is the Buddha's simile to show that you shouldn't grasp the Dhamma. Now, then Buddha talk about few other matters, but I'm not going to explain all these things. I'm quoting the important things, right? Then Buddha talk about the impermanence, anicca, because these are the three characteristics of nature. First one is anicca. Buddha talks about impermanence, anicca. He tried to explain with questions. Now these are very interesting. I don't know if to you, because what do you think? A material form, permanent or impermanent? Material form. You know the material form? Is this material form permanent or impermanent? Yeah. Of course, the answers of the monks is impermanent, Venerable Sir. Then Buddha asks, what is impermanent? Suffering or happiness? If it is impermanent, is it suffering or is it happiness? The answer is suffering, Venerable Sir. What is impermanent, suffering and subject to change, fit to be regarded thus? This is mine, this is I am, this is myself. If it is suffering, if it is impermanent, subject to change, and since it is subject to change, it is impermanent, it is suffering. Yeah? Since it is subject to change and it is suffering, can you say this is mine, this is I, this is mine? Monk's answer is what? No, Venerable Sir. Now, the Buddha understanding of the life is that apparent part of the life is rupa. Usually we call what? Form. Rupa. Right? But this form is only the apparent or the periphery or the boundary of the life. The center is not explained. What is the center? We go to the center. Rupa. If there is a rupa, feelings arise. We go to the Pali word first. Rupa Vedana. Right? We call feelings. Feelings, what do? We perceive the feelings. Perceive the feelings. Sanya. Perceptions. How do I know I live? Because I feel. If I don't feel, I can be in doubt whether I'm living or not, whether I'm dead or not, right? I feel, hence I live, right? Sanya, I understand that feeling. Understand that feeling. According to the understanding, we react. When we react, we start multiplying or generating thoughts within us. When we react first with the mind, then with the body. Mind comes first. We react within first, then comes the external reaction. So the first comes the reaction within, we call it sankhara. This is called mental formation. Remember, mental formation, thoughts, mental factors. This is arising because of the understanding, perception. The perception is the base behind mental formation. The way you understand, you react. You react with the proliferation of your thoughts. Right? Now, all these Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara causes something to exist within you. It is called the Vijnana. Now, Vijnana was not before. This Vijnana is not something which existed before. This Vijnana arisen because of what? These three. Because of these three, this Vijnana consciousness arises. Now, this consciousness, Vijnana, is misleading us to think that there is a self within us. There is a soul within us. There is somebody within us. Atma within us. A soul. But Buddha says what? Whatever you call soul or Atma is nothing but is a byproduct, is arisen because of the feelings, reaction to the feelings, understanding the feeling and reaction to that understanding. This consciousness arises. Now, Buddha asked this question. First he took the form, easy one, right? He asked, is your form, is your body permanent, eternal, everlasting? Now in the Abhidhamma and Buddha's teachings, Buddha says what? Moment to moment, within 17 thought moments, 17 thought moments is the lifetime of a body. Lifetime of a body. 17 thought moments. The ones who came into the Dhamma room are all dead and gone. Completely new physical bodies are existing. 100,000 times we have changed already. But this impermanence we cannot see. This impermanence we cannot observe. Our eyes are not that developed. Only we can see that after a few years, after 10 years, 20 years. If we are still alive, we can see how different we are. Right? After 5 years' time, if I see you, you will find how different this person has become. Yeah? Only after 5 years we can see the difference. We can see the change. But the change is happening according to the Buddha, moment to moment, at the speed of a blinking of an eye, or at the speed of a snap of fingers, at the speed of a lightning. This body arise, exist, vanish. These three steps happen. Rising happens, existence happens, vanishing happens. That is why scientists say what? This body is nothing but a mount of cells. Mount of cells. The nature of these cells are nothing but arising, giving birth to a new cell and passes away. That new cell will give birth to another cell, passes away. This happens moment to moment. At the speed of a blink of an eye, it happens. That is the impermanence. That's why he asked, is your form permanent or impermanent? Monks rightly answered, this form is impermanent. If it is impermanent, is it giving you happiness or sadness? Because it is impermanent, we are sad, right? Getting old. This body is getting weak. With the weaknesses, sickness comes. The beauty is gone, the strength is gone, energy is gone. Impermanence brings what? Suffering. So Buddha asks, can somebody says, if it is impermanent and if it is because of that impermanence, somebody is suffering, can someone says, this is my body, this is my or mine, this is I? Where is the minus? Where is the authority over your body? You don't have even an iota of authority over your body. Your body works according to its own method. You don't have authority, so how can you say this is my body? And likewise, Buddha goes on continuing, Vedana, feelings. Are the feelings permanent or impermanent? Feelings always changing, right? When good feelings turning into bad feelings, how do you suffer? We suffer, right? Anicca dukkha, then comes the anatta. That is soulless. You cannot have authority. You don't have any ownership on it. No soul. Now, in Buddhism, this was really misunderstood by people when Buddha says anatta. When Buddha says anatta, people misunderstood, saying that Buddha also talking about nihilism. Buddha also like a communist. Once the body is gone, you are gone. No soul. Right? Anatta usually translated that as no soul, no self. Concept of no soul, no self. Their idea is, with the physical body is dead, everything is dead. But no, in Buddhism says what? Though it is anatta, though it is no self, there is rebirth for you. There is reincarnation for you. Understand these two different teachings. One religion says self-religion. Atmavada. Atmavada is the religion which says there is a soul. Atma. They say Atma, there is a soul. Since there is a soul, when after the death of the body, there is a rebirth. May be permanent, may be eternal in the heaven or hell. Right? Now Buddha says what? Anatta. No soul, no self. Most of the religions at that time thought what? Anatta means no soul. No soul. If there is no soul, can there be rebirth? There is no rebirth. Materialism. Birth of materialism happened in this issue, in this case. Birth of materialism. No soul. No rebirth. But when Buddha says anatta, he didn't mean this one. He didn't mean that no soul. He meant what? He meant, what he meant was no permanent self. No permanent self. Or what he meant was, this is the consciousness. Right? The consciousness, the one who says I, is always existing because of the feeling, because of the perception, and because of the reaction to the perception. The one who says I is always changing because feelings are changing. Reactions to the feeling is change. Understanding the feeling also change. And the reaction to the feeling also change. So everything is changing. So can there be permanent self? That whatever you call soul or self is never permanent. It is also changing. Moment to moment, it is changing. So anatta in Buddhism is nothing but no permanent self. Why it is not permanent self? Because it is a conditionally arising. So Buddha says what? There is no self, but there is rebirth. We have to understand when Buddha says there is no self, it is about the permanent. It is about that permanent eternal self within. Right? Because all the religion says there is a self within, permanent, eternal. A man dies, he will be born as a man. He won't change. A woman dies, born as a woman, never change. But Buddha says what? Whatever within you is always depending on your experience. At the last moment of your life, when you are about to die, when you are in a dying moment, whatever consciousness is maintaining, we don't know. Because the Chuti-Chitta, the last thought moment, can be anything. According to that, a man can become a woman, woman can become a man, human being becomes a god, a Brahma, human being becomes a dog, animal, or even to the hell. Last thought moment, the consciousness, whatever you call, you can say a self, soul, whatever it is always changing according to the chitta, the consciousness. Feeling, understanding, the reaction, and the consciousness. This changing causes to change whatever within you to change. Yeah? So we have to understand that way. People misunderstood. People say Buddha is talking about nihilism. Buddha is talking about materialism when he says anatta. Buddha says, no, I am not talking about anatta. I am not talking about nihilism, materialism. I am talking about suffering. I am talking about your non-ownership to the life. I am talking about to get rid of the suffering. The path of getting rid of the suffering. That is what I am talking about. So the people misunderstood the Buddha because he had to use the term like anatta. Remember those days when people used for anatta, they used for anatta for what? To indicate, to elaborate, to show no self. There is nothing within. Body dies, you are finished. Everything comes only to your graveyard. Once you are dead, no need to worry. No rebirth. So, enjoy the life. Why worry about next life, future life? Once you are dead, everything is gone. Enjoy the life. If you don't have money, take loans and enjoy money. Don't worry. Because no future life. To indicate such a teaching, such a misunderstanding, they used anatta. But Buddha clearly explained that why I am saying anatta? Because of impermanence, because it is suffering. That you don't have ownership to anything. To show that, to explain that, I used the term anatta. I did not mean the term what those people meant. Then Buddha says, if you do not understand, this is very important when Buddha says to the monks, if you, therefore, bhikkhus, when you understand the meaning of my statements, remember it accordingly. And when you do not understand the meaning of my statements, then ask either me about it or those bhikkhus who are wise. Yeah. So Buddha says, when you don't understand, don't keep it silent and carry that misunderstanding. You have to ask, you have to question and clarify what you couldn't understand, especially what you misunderstand. Right? People like Ariṭṭha, people like the bhikkhu Ariṭṭha, they carried on their misunderstandings because they did not open their mouths and ask the Buddha about what they misunderstood. And they carried and they created a view, and that view became their prison, psychological imprisonment. They are prison. They did not think beyond that. A person who thinks sensual pleasures are not obstacles, can you get rid of that person from that obstacle? A person who thinks, who is in the prison and think that he is not in the prison, can you get him out of that prison? First he has to understand that this is a prison. Then only somebody can help him to get out of that prison. People like this vulture killer, Ariṭṭha, they were carrying the misunderstanding. They are misunderstood the Buddha. And they were carrying such ideas. What Buddha says, obstacles are not really obstacles. They carried that misunderstanding. The last one, Buddha says, as the last one, therefore bhikkhus, whatever is not yours, abandon it. When you have abandoned it, that will lead you to welfare and happiness for a long time. Now this statement, whatever is not yours, abandon. Now what he is asking to abandon? He is asking to abandon the material form. It is not yours. This physical body, material form, it is not yours. Why he says it is not yours? Because it is impermanent. You cannot control that impermanence. It is changing all the time, so it is suffering. It is not yours. Anatta. It is not yours. You cannot maintain a self on it. My hand. You cannot say. It is hand that I am using. Yeah? If it is your hand, this hand will never grow old. This hand will never grow weak. Right? So, this is not yours, material body. Then the feelings are not yours. If feelings are yours, you can keep the nice feelings and discard the bad feelings. No, feelings come and go. Perception, understanding also not yours. Then based on that understanding you react. Sankhara, not yours. And ultimately you create a vijnana consciousness. It is also not yours. So none of these things are yours. Abandon them. Abandon them. Get rid of them. Because they are not yours. If you can get rid of them, it will lead to your welfare and happiness for a long time. Our suffering because of attachment to these things, which should be abandoned. Our suffering is grasping on these things which are changing, which are creating suffering, which are not ours. Our suffering is based on that. So Buddha says, abandon them. When you abandon them, it will lead for your welfare and happiness. Yeah, these are the important factors we find in the Alagaddūpama Sutta, and also Buddha talk about the first, second, third, fourth students. Who are these first, second, fourth students? First, second, third, fourth students. Buddha's students. First student, Sotapanna. Second student, Sakadagami. Third student, Anagami. And fourth student is the Arahant student. He talk about the bondages, obstacles that these students have to get rid of on the path of nibbāna in the later part of the sutta. Yeah? Okay? Sadhu.